Plan on flying? In order to board domestic flights, your driver's license or state-issued ID must be a real ID. Learn how to get your real ID today at tsa.gov/real ID or visit your local DMV.
Okay, welcome to the deep dive.
We're really glad you're here with us today.
Yeah, so today we're kind of embarking on this journey, right alongside you, and focusing on what it really means to grow as individuals.
And also how to build relationships, the kind that genuinely, nourish us.
That's right. Think of this as your maybe personal shortcut to understanding how you can consciously shape a life that's filled with purpose.
And connections that really matter.
Exactly.
We're your hosts for this. I'm Bea
And I'm Max.
And I'm a certified life and mindset coach. I've spent years helping people, particularly women who are navigating life's second chapter, helping them break free from what holds them back, really, and step into their power.
And from my side, I'm fascinated by how we connect, like not just with partners, though that's huge, but also with ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about creating those strong, safe spaces.
Yeah.
Inside and out.
Yeah.
Hey there. Let's do a little thought experiment together. Picture yourself way, way back when you were a kid, maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Seems like a whole different lifetime, doesn't it?
Totally. But what if I told you that those early experiences, from those blurry formative years, are still kind of whispering in your ear today? Shaping how you react, what you believe about yourself, maybe even the kinds of relationships you find yourself drawn to.
That's such an insightful place to start, really, because those first few years, let's say roughly from birth until around age 7,
right,
they truly are the bedrock.
The bedrock.
Yeah, the foundation of who we become. During that time, a child's brain is just incredibly receptive, operating with this kind of heightened suggestibility.
Suggestibility, okay, like a sponge.
Exactly like a sponge. Think of it like the neural pathways are just being laid down, brand new roads, and the brain is soaking up information almost completely unfiltered.
Unfiltered? Why unfiltered?
Well, the parts of our brain we use for critical analysis, like the prefrontal cortex, they're still very much under construction back then.
Oh, okay.
So experiences, messages, feelings, they get taken in very, very directly. Almost like gospel truth, as you said earlier.
Right. So it's like our brains are in this super absorbent phase, just recording everything without a built-in fact checker or editor.
Precisely. And it's during this intense period of learning and development that we start forming our fundamental understanding, our basic map of the world. About our place within it. What we consistently see, hear, and feel becomes our initial blueprint, our basic assumptions about ourselves, about other people, about how life works.
These early recordings, then, they become these deeply ingrained patterns.
That's exactly it.
And I think it's important to say the goal here isn't about, digging up the past just to dwell on it or point fingers right.
Absolutely not. It's really about gaining awareness, not assigning blame. Understanding where some of our current ways of being might have originated. That can be incredibly freeing.
Freeing how?
Because recognizing the roots of these deep patterns can be the crucial first step towards maybe loosening their grip. It gives us a pathway to making different choices now.
Okay, so these early recordings, what we saw, heard, felt they become our personal truths as kids, even if they weren't the objective adult reality.
Exactly. A child's perspective is inherently limited, but it's their reality at the time.
Can you give some examples? What kinds of things typically get recorded so deeply?
Oh, sure. We're talking about really core stuff. Like, does a child develop a fundamental belief in their own worthiness? Or do they internalize a sense of maybe not being quite good enough?
Self-worth?
Yeah. And how emotions are handled? Are feelings welcomed, talked about, processed? Or are they ignored, dismissed, maybe even punished?
Right, like stop crying or don't be angry.
Precisely. And the experience of love itself gets imprinted. Is it felt as consistent warmth and security? Or is it maybe unpredictable, tied to performance, or anxiety-provoking?
That's huge.
It is. And crucially, a child learns whether their own needs and boundaries matter. Are they respected? Or are they kind of routinely overlooked or pushed aside?
Wow. That makes so much sense. Because these aren't just memories floating around. They're like the foundational code for how we operate.
That's a great way to put it, foundational code.
And it's not like this code just evaporates as we get older, right? It doesn't just disappear when we turn 18 or 30.
Not at all. These early imprints form a powerful, often unconscious undercurrent. It keeps influencing our adult lives in really profound ways.
How so? Like in our decisions?
Definitely decisions. Also, our immediate gut reactions to things, the kinds of partners or friendships we gravitate towards, even our fundamental sense of who we are.
So when we find ourselves, say, repeatedly drawn to partners who are emotionally unavailable, even when we know better consciously.
That could absolutely be these old patterns playing out.
Like an old tape running in the background.
Very often, yes. These ingrained patterns can create this feeling of being pulled in a certain direction or feeling weirdly stuck or resistant to something healthy.
Even if you can't explain why.
Exactly, even when you can't consciously articulate it. And it's a key reason we might replay relationship dynamics that don't actually make us happy, but they feel familiar.
Ah, the comfort of the familiar. Even if it's uncomfortable comfort.
Precisely. The familiar feels safe on a subconscious level, even if it's ultimately limiting or painful.
Okay, what about that feeling? Sometimes you try to set a boundary, say no to someone, and you just get this wave of guilt. Where does that come from?
Oh, that guilt around boundaries is a classic example. It very often has roots in those early years.
Oh.
Well, think about it. If, as a child, trying to assert your needs or saying no led to negative consequences, maybe disapproval, maybe punishment, maybe even a caregiver pulling away.
Right.
That association saying no equals bad outcome gets deeply wired in. So as an adult, even when the situation is completely different and setting a boundary is healthy,
that old guilt just floods in automatically.
Exactly. The feeling surfaces before your conscious mind even catches up.
Now, I imagine some people listening might think, okay, but my childhood was pretty normal. Nothing really dramatic happened. Does this still apply?
Oh, that's such an important point. Yes, absolutely. Imprinting isn't just about the big, obvious traumas like abandonment or abuse, though those certainly count.
So it's subtler, too.
Much subtler. It includes the whole range of repeated messages and experiences, the things that might have seemed minor or just how things were.
Like what kind of messages?
Well, think about hearing things consistently like, oh, don't make such a fuss, or you're just too sensitive, or maybe just being told often, be quiet, settle down. Even subtle gender expectations play a huge role. Girls should be nice and agreeable, or boys need to be tough, don't show weakness.
Right. Those everyday little phrases we probably didn't think twice about.
Exactly. Messages like don't brag or don't be a burden. Even things that sound like cautious advice, like you can't really trust people, or beliefs about success, like you only earn things through back-breaking work.
Wow. So those can all become part of that internal code.
Absolutely. They can deeply embed themselves and drive our inner dialogue, our self-talk, and the choices we make, often completely outside our conscious awareness.
So you didn't need, like, major neglect to learn that getting too close feels dangerous.
Precisely. Or you didn't need to be physically hurt to decide that maybe feeling nothing, shutting down emotionally, is just safer.
Okay, so if these patterns can be so subtle yet so powerful, how do we even start to see them in our lives now? Where do we look?
That's the key question. And often the best place to look is right here in the present. Your current relationships are a huge source of clues.
With partners, family, friends?
All of them, even colleagues. Also, look at your relationship with money, your physical health and body image, how things are going in your work or career, and your typical responses to stress.
Where do you keep hitting the same wall, maybe?
Exactly. Where do you see recurring themes, frustrations, or challenges? Those patterns often point back to these early imprints.
What about those moments when we have, like, a really intense emotional reaction, something that feels way bigger than the actual situation seems to warrant?
Ah, yes. Those seemingly outsized or, irrational emotional responses can actually be incredibly informative. Don't dismiss them.
Why not?
Think of them as echoes. Emotional echoes from the past. When we experience certain things as children, we often didn't have the tools.
The emotional maturity.
Exactly. The maturity or the coping skills to fully process the feelings involved. So the intensity of a reaction today might actually be the reverberation of that original unprocessed childhood emotion finally surfacing.
Okay, this makes me think of the concept of the inner child. Is that related to all this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's directly related. The inner child is essentially like the psychological container for these early experiences, beliefs, and especially the emotions tied to them.
So that younger part of us is still in there.
It is. And that younger self can get activated in adult situations that mirror even subtly those old experiences.
Like what kind of situations?
Things that trigger a fear of rejection, for instance, or a deep craving for external validation or approval, difficulty asking for help, or those persistent feelings of inadequacy, of just not being good enough.
That feeling of, I can't do this, or I'm gonna mess up.
Yes, those feelings often originate in that younger part of us who felt overwhelmed or criticized back then.
Okay. So we've explored how these early years really do shape us, sometimes in ways that hold us back as adults. But listening to this, one might feel a bit stuck, like it's all predetermined. Is that the case?
No, definitely not. And that's the truly empowering part of understanding all this. You can learn to recognize and connect with that inner child.
Connect with it. How?
Well, it's not about forcing yourself to relive painful memories in graphic detail. That's usually not necessary or helpful.
Okay, good.
It's more about offering that younger part of yourself the understanding, the validation, perhaps the feeling of safety or freedom that might have been missing back then.
So it's like being the supportive adult for your own inner child now.
That's a beautiful way to put it, yes. By bringing conscious awareness and, importantly, some compassion and kindness to these early experiences and the feelings they generated,
What happens?
their unconscious grip starts to loosen. Their power over your present-day reactions and choices begins to diminish.
So you're not just automatically reacting from that old place anymore.
Exactly. You start to respond to current situations more from your grounded adult self with all the resources and perspective you have now, rather than being driven by the survival strategies of a child.
So the past happened. We can't change the actual events of our childhood,
No, we can't rewrite history.
but we can change our relationship to it, how we carry it inside us now.
That is absolutely the key takeaway. We can shift from constantly unconsciously reacting to life through the lens of that younger self who is just trying to cope and survive.
To consciously choosing.
Yes, to consciously choosing how we want to live, how we want to relate, how we want to feel. As the capable adults we are today, those old coping mechanisms that were maybe essential for survival as a kid.
They can become real limitations in adulthood.
They really can. But recognizing them, understanding their origins, that's where your power lies. The power to change is within you now.
That's a really valuable perspective to hold on to. As we begin to wrap up this deep dive, what's the main thing you'd really want listeners to take away from our conversation today?
I think the most important first step is simply to cultivate a bit more gentle self-observation. Just notice yourself.
Notice without judgment.
Ideally, yes. Take some quiet moments, reflect on some of the ideas we've talked about, and gently consider how your own early experiences, the big ones, the small ones, the repeated messages, might be subtly playing out in patterns you see in your life right now.
So it's about starting to connect the dots, maybe. Seeing those echoes of the past in how we feel or act today.
Exactly. Recognizing these early imprints isn't about getting stuck in negativity or blaming anyone. It's truly the foundational step towards making more conscious, more empowered choices in your relationships, in your work, in how you care for yourself. It's about understanding yourself on a much deeper, more compassionate level.
That feels like a really positive place to start. So maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to ponder after this. Think about one specific area of your life, maybe a relationship dynamic, a work situation, how you feel about your body or finances, where you often feel stuck or frustrated or keep hitting the same obstacles.
Yeah.
Just ask yourself gently, could there be an unexamined message, an old belief, or an early experience from childhood playing a role underneath the surface there?
It's just an invitation.
Exactly. An invitation for some curious self-reflection, a chance to explore a little deeper what makes you, you.
Okay, so welcome back. We've spent some time today digging into this whole idea of a personal revolution.
Yeah, and it's maybe not what you first think.
Right.
Not some huge overnight thing.
Exactly. It's more about seeing growth, seeing change as just constant, always happening, a part of life.
And look, if you're listening to this, chances are you're already, on some kind of path.
You're probably aiming for something, or maybe just trying to figure things out a bit more.
Or even just wanting a bit more meaning day to day. It all counts.
So, as we kind of wrap things up here, the big thing to hold on to, I think, is that this process, this personal revolution stuff we talked about,
It doesn't really stop.
it really does it. Every single day kind of throws up new angles, new opportunities to learn something or shift a little.
For sure. And if anything we discussed today kind of clicked for you.
Sparked an idea.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Or maybe made you want to actually do something, then, run with it. Keep that feeling going.
Absolutely. And hey, if you are looking for more regular nudges or practical thoughts on this,
keeping that growth going.
Yeah, keeping it going. We genuinely love it if you subscribed. Follow along.
That way you won't miss out when we explore other stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, we really do appreciate it when you share these chats or leave a review.
Oh, definitely. It seriously helps other people find this, people who might get something out of it too.
Plus, your feedback. Always good to hear what lands.
Totally. Now, okay, if you're feeling like taking maybe a more focused step.
Like something specific.
Yeah, particularly around, say, understanding your relationships a bit better. We actually have a free quiz for that.
Ah, right. The quiz, the link's in the description for this deep dive, right?
Yep, right there in the description.
And it's pretty quick, yeah. It's designed to maybe just help you spot some of the patterns.
The underlying stuff, yeah, and how you connect with people.
Right. And maybe show you where even tiny shifts could actually make a real difference.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing sometimes, isn't it? Just pausing for that kind of reflection can suddenly light up things you just hadn't seen before. It's all part of that revolution we're talking about.
It is. So, don't hesitate. Go check out the quiz if that sounds useful.
The link's right there for you.
And just remember, this whole journey, this personal growth path, your personal revolution, it's happening inside you.
Every day.
Every single day. It unfolds from within.
Well said. Thanks so much for diving deep with us today.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.